Look at that sky. Threatening rain, I guess. Oh, 360 pan. Alright. It's about maybe 75 degrees right now. Quite humid. And I guess we're gonna get a thunderstorm. So I listened to all you guys' suggestions and stuff like that about jumping a wire, and there's like a wire with like a green thread, like a runner on it, and going to the fuel pump. But I couldn't see anything like that because it's all been changed over and worked on, and I don't know, that there's a lot of road grease and stuff under there. So what I did was sort of like be like an Ian Matthews and sort of reverse engineer something. And I located the the fuel relay, and took the relay out of this thing here, which it had two plastic ears to keep it from coming out of this protective cover, and I defeated those by kind of crunching them down with this rusty needle nose plier. So this is what we have now. We've got that for setup. So what I do is I just push on this relay tab. No wires needed. There you go. Let me bring it a little bit closer there. It's going good. So thanks all you guys for your wonderful suggestions, which really have been helpful. Instead of me switching that key back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, I'll just run it like intermittently because I don't want to overheat the pump. Well, that's already almost a quart of fuel. I should check on the consistency and the quality, but you know, cell phones around gasoline, I guess allegedly there's some sort of hazard, so I'm gonna turn it off. We'll inspect the fuel and the quality using a clear beer bottle. I don't know, guys, this seems like it's the quality seems not too bad, actually. Maybe there was only a half a gallon of water in there? I don't know. Now, of course, take the skittle rigging off that I got there. And try and reconnect that line. Okay, let's see if I can get in there. That should be tight enough. My claim is I might have to take that throttle body apart. I don't know. Because the contaminants might have messed it up to the point where the what you call it. Got the relay back together, of course. I've done this a million times, and each time seems like the first. There he is. This is starting to get loose for me, leaning my fat butt on it. You! A yogi of you. You! Right? Alright, I'm wandering. Perhaps put a little bit of priming gas inside this bottle. I don't know. Yeah, open the throttle body right here like that. Push on the accelerator pedal. Oh, there you go. Open wide for Chunky. Ooh, a little bit too much gas overflowed there. We can't have that. We have a backfire. We end up actually having a fire. End up actually having a fire. George Bush would say a fire. You know, like wire and fire. Got a fire out there. Got a load of wire that's on fire. I always wondered, what accent do the British consider the most American? The New York accent? That California accent, whatever you want to call that? The Southern accent? Or the different Midwest accents? The like Southern Illinois accent, which is like, oh, it's kind of deep. And then there's the Chicago area accent, which is kind of nasally, like that. I got it to fire up. That's really weird though, because you get it running and then you have to finesse it by removing the fuel pump fuse. And then once it completely stalls out, runs out of fuel. I don't know what's wrong with the thing, but it's always been that way. Once it runs out of fuel that you pour it into the throttle body, then you can reconnect the fuse and do the process all over again. Put that on there in an attempt to make sure we don't have trouble. There's no guarantee though. Okay. Then I got to remove the fuse. I know, none of this makes sense. I don't know what happened to the little strap that was on there holding that together. I gotta put more fuel in here. Let it run until it dies out. Where I put my bottle. Okay, the bottle vanished. Wasn't like I was traveling the world. Oh, there it is. There. Ooh, almost tripped over the wire. Got a tornado warning going on the radio there. Those are always fun. So you go from the ice cold then it gets warm for about a week around here, and then you're in tornado season. Sounds like it's DeKalb, so it's passing through the Scrap and Pallet Man neighborhood, actually, really, DeKalb. I'm about 60 miles south of that, so lucky me, right? I don't need a tornado. Right, let's fire this bad boy up again. Let's walk over here and put the fuse in, right? Perhaps prime it just a bit. The processes you have to go through with this, which once again does not make sense to any of you guys viewing. All right, why am I doing it this way? I don't know. This car has always had this idiosyncrasy where you have to remove the fuel pump fuse if you run out of gas or stall out. I don't know what the problem is. At one time I had a mechanic look at it and work on it, and he claimed he fixed it, and the very next day it was doing the same thing. I spent $400 on that. That got me nowhere. Nope. I got absolutely nowhere with that. Except my pocket was a little bit lighter. Man, I'm pissed. Because I'm spending, and people on YouTube are like, spend a day working on a day? Are you kidding me? A day? And this is why I don't do stuff like this. It's not a day. It's like 3 or 4 weeks. Well, then you don't know what you're doing. No, I don't totally know what I'm doing. You could pay a mechanic. I can't pay a mechanic if I'm not moving scrap. Plus, I have bills to pay. Bills. I'm not the only one with the bills. Definitely not the only one. Every other human being on the planet has bills. Just this individual does not seem to be able to manage both. I could do one thing. I could do one thing well. Two things, fair to partly cloudy. Three things, poorly. Four things, absolutely horribly. So it's like the more things I've got on my plate, the worse it's done. Man, I'm pissed because this is the procedure that's required to get this thing to start, which does not make sense. I know. Well, I do it the normal way. I tried it already just to see if, I don't know, because I forgot the idiosyncrasies of the car. You know, like the nuances, and then I remembered that it's got to be done this way. And yeah, so this is a really long, drawn-out process, which actually could take days. So each day costs me $200. You could buy a truck. Where? If you're running out to go and buy a truck, you're going to pay the highest price possible. You really are. And I watch the commenters will be like, "Get a baseball bat." There. That won't do nothing. It'll take your frustrations out. No, I'd like to take my frustrations out on something else. Can't get it going, man. That's $200 a day. Take the $200 a day. It's psychic money. It's imaginary, okay? Because the money never was in the hand because the work was never done to generate the cash. So it's non-existent money that would exist if I was with my nose to the grindstone. Yes, indeed. Unfreaking believable.